Hi, I'm Taylor Brown. I hope you're enjoying the Windows Server Summit today. For those of you who know me, you know we're going to be talking about containers. We're going to talk about how we can modernize our applications using containers. For those of you who haven't had a chance to meet me yet, we haven't had a chance to talk about how we can take advantage of this great new innovation of containers with Windows Server and our existing applications, you're in for a treat. We're going to go through some ways to do that. We're going to see a couple demos. It's going to be great. Let's go ahead and just dig on in and get started. It's probably of no big surprise to those of you out there, but ASP.NET and .NET continue to be among the most top used frameworks for developers even today. And this data came from Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow, we know, kind of has a little bit of a bias towards those new application frameworks like Node and .NET. But of course, ASP.NET still top billing. .NET still one of the top frameworks being used for new development today. Now, that doesn't even account for all the existing applications that we have out there. Right, so how do we take advantage of those applications and modernize them, bring them into the new paradigm? So we're going to talk about a pattern today. We're going to take that existing application. We're going to convert it into a container. That's going to allow us to leverage these modern methodologies, CI/CD and active deployments and deploy every day and all of those kind of things on modern infrastructure. That infrastructure could be Server 2019 on-prem, it could be in the cloud, it could be in Azure, of course. And we're going to give our developers the opportunity to leverage these modern microservice patterns to take advantage of those new paradigms, right? So let's dig right in. We've got a typical enterprise application, right? I'd ask for a show of hands, but we're in a virtual event, so it's kind of hard for me to see all your hands up. But how many people have an application or a lot of applications that look just like this? We've got some sort of WinForm app or WPF front end, maybe it's a web app. Then there's some middle tier, it's a set of web services or WCF or who knows what. And then it's talking to some backend, typically like a SQL server or maybe a file server as the kind of backend, right? Super common. How do we modernize this application? Well, we're going to containerize it. We're going to package it up. So on the front end, we can use the packaging technologies that we've got in Windows 10, MSIX, to make that easily redeployable. We're not going to talk too much about that today. There's some great resources out there for you. Super easy to do. And by the way, it's using containers in the back end. So it's all the same stuff under the covers. For that middle tier, we're going to talk about how we can use Windows Server containers today. So we can package that application up, make it easy to redeploy it, easy to move it around, easy to rebuild it, patch it, all of the great new management capabilities. And we'll talk a little bit about how we can do the same thing with our backend, either leveraging containers and packaging up SQL. We've got a great resource at the end for a private preview of SQL Server, or we can take advantage of a PaaS service if we're using a cloud like, of course, Azure. So what does it mean to containerize? Well, typically this is meant to package up freight. When we talk about containerizing applications, it's really the same thing. We're putting that application into a uniform box where it's going to have the same verbs, the way to describe it, memory and resources and storage. And now we can treat all of our applications the same from a management standpoint. I can start up one application by just saying Docker run that application. I can start up another one with the exact same thing. And as long as I give it the information it needs, like where your storage is going to be located and the resources, it'll run exactly the same way. So it's hugely advantageous for us as both developers and admins working on applications. So here's our traditional architecture, right? We've got an application, could be written in .NET, could be Win32 or Java. We could have a Windows service. So again, that service can be written in anything. It's just a long running set of processes. And then, of course, we've got the underlying kernel, the kernel that provides kind of the driver support and turns the file calls, open this file, send this down the network into bits and stuff that goes out on the wire, right? When we containerize an application, all we're really doing is we're taking those top two buckets, the applications or the services, and we're packaging it into that container, that uniform box, right? The kernel stays the same, and now we can run multiple containers on the same kernel side by side, right? The applications are unaware of each other because they're each in their own shipping container. They're in their own box, their own steel box side by side. From the kernel standpoint, we know how to talk about them, and from an admin standpoint, we know how to just describe that I want to run this application and that application, right? So this is all a little bit abstract, right? let's just go ahead and see this in action to kind of give us a little bit of a concrete example of how this works in the real world. And so here we are. I've got a virtual machine. I just happen to deploy this in Azure, leveraging our Windows server with containers image. So that's an image that we build in the gallery. It's just got Docker installed and the container image is pulled in. And if I want to start a container, all I do is say Docker run. So this is Docker's the tool we use to start containers. And I pass in a couple flags. This RM just says, throw the container away when I'm done with it. IT says, I want to interact with it. And I'm doing that because we're doing a demo here. And then this next part is the image that I want to use. So I'm getting this image from our Microsoft Container Registry. I'm using the Windows image, and I'm using server core from our long-term servicing channel 2019. And the process I want to run in it is command. So here we go, firing that up. And we've started a container. So we're now inside this container. It's got its own file system. It's really a contained environment. And if we look at Task Manager over here, we see that there's a new session that got started up and a new job object that got associated with it. So if I do something like ping-t www.microsoft.com, we see that ping is now running. It's running in session 3 with this job object code. If I stop ping, it goes away, right? So the host can see all of the processes that are running, and if I exit this container, then all of the processes and things that were associated with it just go away. If I start the container up again, we see a new one that starts up. From a performance standpoint, watch this. This is great. Our memory usage, when we're not using the container, is going to be about 2.2 gigs. So I just exited this guy. So as soon as that guy exits, we'll see that drop down to about 2.2 gig, right? If I start a new container, 2.3. So in about 100 meg, we started a new container. It's a lot less overhead than we normally see with virtual machines. So we get some better density out of this in addition to those deployment advantages that we talked about, right? So this is all great and wonderful, but how do I actually manage this stuff in production? You just showed me remoting into a server and running some script. Like, I'm not going to do that for 600, 700, 1,000 applications, right? So how do we manage them in production? Well, we do that through what we call an orchestrator. So orchestrators take advantage and take care of things like scheduling our containers for us, affinity and anti-affinity. So we don't want to have all of our web servers running on the same node so that if that node goes down, all of the website's down, right? So it takes advantage and takes care of those kind of things for us. It can do our monitoring, it can do our failover, our scaling, it takes care of network management. So what ports need to be associated with what, and how do I hook those up to load balancers? It deals with service discovery. How does the web server talk to the SQL server? And upgrades. It can do all the coordination of an upgrade rolling through the various versions, right? In terms of options there, we've got a couple. We can use Service Fabric. Service Fabric is our Microsoft orchestrator for microservices and applications. We use it to run a lot of our internal services. And customers have been taking advantage for quite a while as well. We've taught Service Fabric how to do containers. Kubernetes, far and away the predominant container orchestrator. We've got full Windows Server support in Kubernetes as of 1.14. Super excited about that. A lot of work that went into to that, both from Microsoft and across the ecosystem. Really excited to have full Kubernetes support for Windows Server containers now. We'll see a demo of that in a minute, as well as App Service. App Service, for many of you who have never used Azure before, you might not be familiar with this. It's so easy to just set up a web app and get it running in the cloud. A couple clicks and you're done. It's just a great experience. And then, of course, Docker Enterprise Edition, who we've been partnering with for a number of years, bringing great container innovation both to Windows and to Linux, of course. So we led off with, we're going to talk about 3 ways to modernize our applications. Well, here they are. 1, we're going to talk about how we can modernize using our private cloud resources. We're going to talk about how we can use Azure and Kubernetes in Azure. And we're going to show App Service. So without further ado, let's just dig right into to these. And let's start out with Kubernetes. I'm just going to connect to my Kubernetes control plane. I'm happen to be using Azure. This could be run on-prem. Does not have to be run in Azure. You could run it in any cloud you want. I'm just using Azure because it's a super easy way to get going. But this is what it looks like. So we've got Kubernetes control plane. We're running, we've got 1 deployment. We've got 5 different pods. We've got a replica set. And I'll explain what some of these mean in a minute. Don't worry about the terms too much. We can see in this deployment, I've got a deployment that I called IIS 2019. It's probably a web server, right? These are those 5 pods. These are 5 different containers. So all of these containers are running under this deployment. They're scaled out, right? So I've got 5 web servers running, replica sets, and then we've got a service. That service is just called IIS, and if we open it up, it's just a web server, right? Now notice, there's only one address for this because it's all being automatically load balanced for me. So one of the cool things I can do in Kubernetes, if I want to scale this up, I can go in here and I can say scale 10. I'm expecting a lot of traffic there, and it will go and scale this up for me. Now, if I tie this into some monitoring, I can do what we call automatic scaling. It'll automatically scale that up whenever I need to. And of course, if I wanted to, I could scale this back down as well. All the load balancing is taken care of for me. I don't have to go reconfigure load balancers. It all just kind of happens super easy, amazing kind of experience. And all of this is available on-prem and, of course, in Azure as well. And so I've got a preview of our Azure Kubernetes service. Really, really excited about this. We now have the ability in this preview, and there'll be a link here at the bottom and at the end for how you can join the preview. We now have the ability to set up Windows node pools. So we've got this new node pools in preview here. We've got Linux nodes, and we've got our Windows nodes. And on those Windows nodes, I've got my containers. And so I can do really cool things like I could jump into the insights here. I can get all of the utilization of the whole cluster, all of the nodes within it, right? I can go to this nodes tab. This is great. We've got our Linux nodes, so we can see our little Linux penguin there. We've got our Windows Server nodes. I can pull that out, and I can see all of the containers that are running on these nodes, right? So here they are. There's the containers on it. I can click in. I can get information about that container, right? I can go in, look at what kind of configuration it has, what labels, what versions it's running, all that information, super easy, right at my fingertips. And because it's Azure Kubernetes service, all of our Visual Studio Code integration works too. So I can go in, I can see all that same information. If I had logs on this container, I could just right-click, show logs. We'd be dumping all those logs right here. This one doesn't happen to have any logs, but if it did, we'd see them all right in that one spot. Super easy for our developers or our admins who are writing PowerShell scripts or doing any sort of configuration to see this. So it's available either place. Really, really, really easy. So that's our Azure Kubernetes service in private preview. Go jump in on that, it's great. Now I'm going to show you the easiest way to get containers up and running in Azure, and that is app service. So all we have to do here is we just go, hey, new web, and we're going to say web app for containers, right? So this is great if we have a web app, anything that's using, just IIS or a web server. Just give it a name, which subscription I want to use, what resource group. Of course, we're in the Windows Server 7 here, so Windows obviously. But if I wanted to use Linux, I could do that as well. What plan, and then I get to configure the container. So here I can choose what image to use. For this little quick start, they've just got a sample one. Again, we're just mcr.microsoft.com, app service samples, ASP.NET Hello World. Pick that sucker up, hit apply, go, and away it would go. I've gone ahead and configured one ahead of time here, just hello Win server. So I can just go select the URL here, boom, web server's up and running. I can go in and configure all sorts of stuff here. So I can go into the container settings. I can choose what image to use. So if I was going to do an upgrade or change what it was, really easy to pull that in. If I wanted to change between Azure Container Registry and Docker Hub, super easy. I've got all my logs streamed right at the bottom here, so I can look at all those. Just a really, really easy way to get started with containers in Azure. So with that, we've just seen a couple great ways that we can leverage Azure, Kubernetes on-prem or in the cloud to start to modernize our applications. Now, for many of you, you're just getting started with Windows Server 2016. And I just want to show you, look at all the innovation that we've been able to deliver, specifically around containers, both in our semi-annual channel and then all the way up into Server 2019. So with Server 2016, it was our first innovation on containers. We launched Windows containers for the first time, which was a lot of work and a ton of great things there. Immediately out of that, through our semi-annual channel, we started delivering new innovation. We optimized the image size, reduced the image sizes by significant amounts. a whole bunch of networking improvements. 1803, 6 months later, again, a ton of new networking innovation, a bunch of additional container enhancements, better app compat, more optimizations. Server 2019, 6 months after that, our long-term servicing release, again, more optimizations, even more container work, all of the foundations necessary for Kubernetes. This is the version that Kubernetes 1.14 picks up. So I really, really encourage you to start looking at Server 2019 as soon as you possibly can. And with that, we're still at it. 1903, our next semi-annual channel release, a bunch more great container innovations, more networking support. We're now able to take advantage of GPU acceleration with DirectX. So some of our game studio companies and partners are really excited about this ability to leverage that optimized GPU acceleration for applications running in their container. We added the container spec to the PowerShell gallery. And we're working on the next layer of open source innovation around containers, Containerd. So a ton of great stuff continuing in that semi-annual channel. And we're not done. We're already working on the next semi-annual channel release. So for those of you out there still looking at 2016, see if you can start to turn your attention to 2019 or even better to that semi-annual channel. A lot of great stuff there. I'll kind of leave you with this. We got a bunch of great customers who are already using containers. We'd love to add you to this list. So go ahead and give containers a try today. It's super easy. aka.ms/containers. Great walkthrough, get you started. Heidi and the doc team has done a great job of updating and revising that. If you have feedback on those docs, please let us know. Go jump on that private preview of the Azure Kubernetes service. aka.ms/akswin. By far the easiest way to get Kubernetes set up and running. Super easy. Windows and Linux together in Azure, win. And we've got SQL Server support for Windows containers in private preview. Go ahead and jump on that, aka.ms/windowscontainers/SQL preview. Fill out the form, select Windows containers. We'll get you into that private preview as well. And with that, this concludes our event for today. You got to hear about all the latest and greatest on Windows Server 2019. For more information, check out the resources icon just below the screen. That's going to include links to download all this information and dig in deeper on Windows Server and our products. Also, please do not forget to take the survey. There's a survey icon below. Let us know what you thought of the event. We love these events. We want to continue to have great virtual events, and we want to make sure that they're great for you. Shortly, we'll be tallying up the results of the knowledge test, and we'll be reaching out to all of those winners. Congratulations to you. Thank you all. Stay tuned for future Windows Server events, and enjoy the rest of your day.